Maybe. Nope, that's a big suitcase. Little suitcase. There we go.
There's a briefcase too, ain't there? Yeah. Like there's an actual briefcase.
Oh, there's a briefcase.
Yeah, brief 3. Under the emotes menu. So you going for the insanity defense, or?
No, not
Yes,
quite.
he's high as a kite, and that way he didn't know what he was saying. No, all right. Now let's go in and see if we can get seated. And you disappeared.
Oh, there's a dead man on the floor.
Dead man on the floor. There is dead man on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. We're, I thought they took the right side.
Yes,
Yeah.
Deputy.
Mudbone Jones has just arrived.
Is this council of it here?
I believe so, yes. There's a guy with a briefcase.
Okay.
Some guy with
Thank
a
you.
briefcase.
Yep.
We take the left side, right?
I'm assuming so, but
Well, like everything I've
That's-
ever seen, the
that's-
defendant's on the left.
I don't know if they do things different across the pond. But yeah,
Well, from what
Yeah,
I've gathered,
whatever.
they really fucking do. I'm not even gonna bother with this chair. I'm just gonna stand.
so the defense is going to be that, well, number one, his statements were rambling because he's on Ativan.
Defendants are to take a seat to the right, in the right table, just here.
Okay.
Oh, we're going to the right. Oh, yeah.
Evidently.
I guess so.
A random person. Cool. All right.
So
Of
you're
course.
on Adaban and
Oh, you can move the chairs. Wonderful. Just like
Yeah,
BCSO.
you're not here for me
Oh,
anymore.
no, there we are.
Yeah, I don't see you. There you are. Now you're the fuck. Yeah, now I got a fucking chair stuck in my way.
Yeah. Push the chairs under the table. There we go. Now you pop popcorn. Okay. All right. I wish there was a way to like reset the chairs, or
Yeah.
need to
Um,
make have a chair vehicle, so we can pull over fucking office chairs racing down 13.
God, don't give me any ideas. We'll have off-road bedroom chairs or something.
No, I mean these chairs. Just make them a vehicle, on like the moped or something.
Lord. So, I got flown in by Joe's company. What's your name in this, Joe?
James Murphy.
James. I got flown in by Mr. Murphy's associates if needed.
You're one of the junior counsel for the firm. It's fine.
Yep. Does he look lawyerly enough?
Yeah, he looks young lawyerly enough.
All right.
Lawyerly, yeah.
He's also, well, I'll surprise you what's going to happen later, but not now.
All right. So the defense is going to be that Tyrone's the one who actually tried to kill St. John, and he's framing
Okay.
Mudbone for it.
Okay.
Mudbone's statements about the gun were rambling and incorrect because he was high on Ativan. And
Okay.
I was
The,
not high. I was just prescribed too high of a dose. Let's get it right.
Well, and actually, the thing is too is that then your union has to offer you treatment, so you're
well,
not.
no,
held
he
responsible
was
as well.
prescribed for it. We're gonna
Right.
present a letter.
Was that in?
I should probably not have a hat, but I look so weird without one.
Okay, so he was prescribed. You have a letter saying it's
Yep,
prescribed.
the doctor's
so,
letter stating that Mudbone was on too high a dosage, and that's on the day of the interview, and that's why his statements were rambling.
Okay.
Tyrone attempted to confess to Stan, and Stan ignored it. Tyrone has been charged with the attempted murder of St. John in the past.
Oh wait,
Tyrone's
we should also
fingerprints-
bring up that the St. John has tried to murder me on
Right.
2 different occasions since this started.
Okay.
Right.
Well, hopefully I can just sit back and watch, but if needed, you can always coach me too, Buford.
And the Tyrone's fingerprints were on the murder weapon, and Mudbone found the S&S pistol under the pier at 6:10 the day after the shooting, before being searched, not the
Okay.
day of the shooting.
Okay.
So
Wait,
that's
what?
that's what you sent me.
I found the S&S pistol the day after the shooting.
After the
before
shooting.
I was, yeah, and
Before
then
you were searched,
the other
not
pistol, I don't remember where we said I got it.
that's neither here nor there. That's the one you found the day of the shooting. It wasn't used, so you took it off somebody. I don't remember.
yeah, well, we'll go with that.
It's where you found that pistol is irrelevant. It's not relevant to the situation.
Yeah, I hope you can object and shit when shit needs to be objected to, because I'm oblivious. I don't watch court cases.
Some more amaretto and coffee. Wide awake drunk. Gotta love it.
All right, it's 11 o'clock. We made it on time.
Yay.
Yeah, the judge will be late now.
We were having that discussion that the defense and his counsel were going to be, the defendant and his counsel were going to be late to his own trial. That's going to look really good.
Oh. I just glanced at his Discord rules here. I guess that means special folder stays closed. Anyway.
Roger, appreciate the host, man. Welcome to the
All right,
stream.
make that go away. But yeah, I think we should put together and not rush it. Put together a trial of Gator Jones for something. I don't know what.
No.
And it be let it be a circus. Just the whole thing. Just the whole thing. Just be just a circus.
I mean, to make it a circus, I would have to defend myself.
Well, hell, calling witnesses, you'd have to call basically every wheel on the force.
Right.
Be interesting.
It just depends
me
on what
too,
the.
Roger.
Satan is
I'm
watching
nervous
fly
for
his own
Bud
shit.
for sure.
Could be the brash one. Who knows? One of the.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's.
Like, there's probably
That's-
more people over there than we're seeing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because it
No.
sounded like he jumped up.
Yeah.
Did we lose Cameron? Because I know Maddie told the
Yeah.
judge that you arrived, but I haven't seen the judge.
Well, like I said, it wouldn't be a.
He's in dispatch with David and Maddie.
D Night coming in with 10 emote shared rewards with 10 others. Cool. Don't know what the fuck it does, but appreciate it, Night.
Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Okay,
Everyone,
okay,
quiet in
okay,
the
okay.
courtroom. Please be seated.
No.
Please rise. Court of the Second Judicial Circuit Criminal Division is now in session. Honorable Judge Curie presiding.
Judge, jury presiding.
Everyone but the jury may be seated. Everyone but the
That's
jury
kind
may
of
be
a-
seated.
Kind of a moot point.
Yeah, he wants to swear
Please
the
raise
jury.
your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to or affirm that you will truly listen to this case and render a true verdict in a first sentence as to this defendant?
Not
Yeah.
I do.
I do.
I
Yes,
do.
sir.
Oh, I do.
God.
You may be seated.
Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty based only on facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution has the burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt.
amicus
This
curiae,
burden remains
really?
on the prosecution
Okay.
through the trial. The prosecution must provide a crime was committed and that the defendant is the person who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied of the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. Deputy Lax, what is today's case?
Your Honor, today's case is the state of San Andreas versus Mudbone Jones.
Prosecution, are you ready?
Shall be presently, Your Honor.
Defense, are you ready?
Like Stan's brother.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
I'm ready. Bumped the wrong one. And mute. So that doesn't happen again.
Prosecution,
I am
may
ready
proceed.
to proceed.
You may proceed, prosecutor.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am here today to indicate to you that the accused,
User joined your
former
channel.
Sergeant Mudbone Jones, is guilty of the attempted murder of one Deacon St. John on Monday night last week. I'm going to do that by establishing for you the circumstances around this shooting, which I think are incredibly telling as to actions taken by the former Sergeant Mudbone Jones in the days following and the hours following the attack.
Went in a little bit late, gentlemen.
I would therefore like to begin by indicating to you that
we know.
he has a working
Deadly.
relationship with a colleague known as Ed Orgeron,
Not bad.
who, on the day of the attack, several hours beforehand, was actually kidnapped by criminal elements, which includes the victim. This working relationship has been a factor in this entire case and is indeed grounds for, I believe, indication that Mr. Jones is guilty of the offense. Mr. Orgeron was kidnapped, as I have said, by Deacon St. John and several other associates who have been charged and processed duly. Mr. St. John, after Ed Orgeron was released, arrived at Mission Row Police Station and confessed on body camera to Sergeant Stan Andreas of the San Andreas Highway Patrol that he was the third person involved in the kidnap of Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron, when he had returned to the station, had only named 2 associates and refused to name the third because the third one had assisted his escape. Having now received Deacon St. John's confession to a degree, Sergeant Andreas was able to surmise that the third subject was Deacon St. John. However, due to the victim in that case not wanting to prosecute this St. John, he was released. Sergeant Andreas escorted Mr. St. John up to the exit of Mission Row Police Station, where Mr. St. John had previously encountered Mudbone Jones. The sergeant who had arrived through the door has body camera footage on there of Deacon asking to speak to Mudbone Jones, and Mr. Jones replying, "I know what you did," before leaving the building. After he had spoken to Sergeant Andreas, Mr. St. John indicated that he would be trying to speak to Mr. Mudbone Jones, and that Sergeant wished him well with that endeavor. Just give me a moment here. The next time that Sergeant Andreas saw Deacon St. John was lying in the CLS hospital with 2 bullet holes in his chest. Whilst he was there, Sergeant Andreas
shot in the
and
legs.
Officer Casey Law of the Los Santos Police Department Drug Task Force interviewed Mr. St. John to establish what had occurred. Mr. St. John indicated positively through the use of thumbs up and thumbs down, eliminating several suspects before identifying Mr. Jones as his attacker. The suspects that he previously eliminated were associates of his involved in the kidnapping. The initial theory being that they had attempted to harm him as a result of them being prosecuted and him not. However, he indicated that this was not the case, and Sergeant Andreas, acting on the previous encounter that he'd witnessed between Mr. Jones and Mr. St. John, brought up the name of Mudbone Jones, to which Deacon St. John indicated positively that that was his attacker. Mr. St. John did actually confirm this statement later on to Officer Casey Law, which the judge has heard as part of the initial warrant hearing. Now, the defense on this is going to try and tell you that when Mr. St. John identified Mr. Mudbone Jones at CLS Hospital, he was in no fit state of mind due to medication. I would agree that that may be the case. However, his later testimony after being moved into protective custody was not done under any kind of excessive medication, and therefore I believe that despite the initial medication on the CLS indication, Mr. St. John was telling the truth. Moving on to details of the attack. The attack took place at 310 Bay City Avenue over in Vespucci Beach. And at the time of the attack, the conditions of the attack, Mr. St. John indicated that, and I will not name his attacker here because it is my intention to prove to you that his attacker was in fact Mr. Mudbone Jones. But Mr. St. John said that his attacker brought him down there, removed him from the vehicle, threw him over the railing, and then shot him twice. Now, there is CCTV footage, camera footage, from 311 Bay City Avenue, from the lifeguard station down there, which does actually show the attack taking place back at 310 up the street. It is not clear enough from the footage to indicate who is who. However, it does show a dark-colored four-door sedan, similar to a police Crown Victoria, driving to a parking space and 2 people getting out. These 2 figures, whilst shadowy and unidentifiable as of the recording, one of them, the one that does not throw the other, the one that throws the other one over the railing, appears to be wearing some kind of wide-brimmed hat. That is the only discernible feature on the 2 silhouettes. However, I would direct you right now to take a look at Mr. Mudbone Jones's head, because he has kindly worn his signature Stetson
Right.
hat for us today,
Yeah.
similar to the shape that
A
is
Washington
indicated
looks
on
like
the
a
CCTV.
Crown Vic. Can throw that out. And your hat
The
is
Now-
white.
The
It
stain
would
there,
show up.
too.
The defense is
What's that?
going
Yeah.
to claim that Mr.
There's 2 other
Mudbone
cars that
Jones
look
was not the attacker, and
Crown
that the
Vics.
CCTV does not,
Right.
despite showing someone with
Yeah.
a wide-brimmed hat,
And
definitively indicate that Mr. Jones was the attacker. And I would agree with the defense
mean,
on that.
As a
However, what I
defense,
would not
St.
agree
John
with
also is known to wear a cowboy
is
hat.
mhm.
the fact that Mr. Mudbone Jones's in-car GPS from his CVPI police patrol unit was on 310 Bay City Avenue at exactly the same time as the lifeguard station's CCTV shows the attack taking place.
We're not getting out of this.
Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I
We're gonna
want
have
you
to
to
find
ask
more
yourself,
deal.
why would a Los
Oh.
Santos police sergeant who
Is it
is
that
in his
bad?
patrol vehicle, on patrol
I
and
don't
on
have
duty,
high hopes.
be within
Bruh, who's
500
the
feet
DA?
of 2 gunshots and
Tom.
an attempted murder, and
Oh,
not
well,
only
that's
do nothing,
fucked. Y'all are
but not call anything in? Well, that is, I believe, because Mr. Mudbone Jones was the attacker. The defense is going to try and convince you that he was not.
I mean, I was in
Moving
the
on
area, but
to the day of
GPS
Mr.
could have
Mudbone
been
Jones's
fucking off.
arrest, the following
Like,
day,
you
the
could've
day
been
after
What's
the
that?
attack, he was
I
recovered
can barely hear you
or
over
arrested
him
with
talking.
a pistol in his possession.
me,
This pistol was of an S&S
See if
type.
I can change that.
It was recovered with 2 sets of fingerprints on it, one of them being Tyrone Jenkins,
Shit,
one of the
let me make my
former
way down to the
associates of Mr.
courthouse
St.
and
John, who was
shit. I'm about to
involved in
go
the attempted kidnap
be
of
underneath the jail.
Mr. Orgeron. The second set of fingerprints belonged to Sergeant Mudbone Jones.
Fuck is the courthouse?
Now, the sergeant,
142.
when interviewed about
Thank you,
this
sir.
by Sergeant Andreas and Officer Law, indicated that he'd found the pistol, initially indicated that he'd recovered the pistol from Tyrone Jenkins earlier in his shift the day before. He later recanted this statement
Damn,
and
that's down
changed
there,
to
ain't it?
say
That's down
that
in the
he had
hood.
actually recovered the
catch a bus.
pistol underneath the Del Perro Pier at, I believe it's 613. Apologies, it's 611. 611, the Del Perro Pier. He indicated later on that he recovered the pistol from the pier at 611. However, again, his patrol unit GPS, which he clearly states he was using the spotlight on to find the pistol by accident, his patrol unit GPS does not show that he was present at this location on the day of the attack. It does show that he drove there the day after the attack. However, that is not what he indicated to investigators on the day of his interview. He initially claimed that the weapon belonged to Tyrone Jenkins, and he'd recovered it from Tyrone Jenkins on the same day of Deacon St. John's attack, indeed before Deacon St. John's attack had taken place. How then could Tyrone Jenkins, which is going to be the defense's plan, is they're going to claim that Tyrone Jenkins was the man responsible for shooting Deacon St. John, how could he do this with the weapon that ballistics confirm is the attacking weapon? How could Tyrone Jenkins do this with a weapon he did not have in his possession because Sergeant Mudbone Jones had already taken it off him by his own admission? That is the question for you, ladies and gentlemen, and a question that I'm sure the defense will be happy to address come their time.
He's gonna take up the whole 30 minutes.
He is. I thought y'all
Moving
knew.
on again,
Y'all messing with the best.
several days later, Mr. Tyrone Jenkins attempted
want you
to
back
turn
on the force,
himself
let
in
alone
for the attack
breathing
on Deacon
above
St.
ground.
John. at Blaine County Sheriff's Office in Sandy Shores to Sergeant Stan Andreas.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that
Now,
nigga in
again, the
back, yeah.
defense's plan here is to convince
You
you
got
that
police.
Tyrone Jenkins is the
Your
man
block
who
is hemmed
killed
up.
or attempted to kill Deacon St. John. It is my intention to indicate to you
It's
that
inconspicuous at all. Y'all motherfuckers just park
that is not
around,
the
yeah.
case.
I gotta park in the back.
When he was trying to confess to the crime that I believe he did not commit,
Hey,
Should
I'm
be
gonna park
spots
right
across
Tyrone
the
Jenkins
street.
was unable to account any of the events correctly to Sergeant Andreas. In fact, at one point he even said, "Can you just lock me up so I can call the people who are supposed to be paying my bail?" Sergeant Andreas pressed Mr. Jenkins for who was paying his bail, and Mr. Jenkins indicated it was one Ed Orgeron. Now, it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen, why you think Ed Orgeron would want to pay Tyrone Jenkins' bail for the attempted murder of Deacon St. John, unless there was some kind of indication from Mr. Mudbone Jones and Mr. Ed Orgeron that this was
Mudbone and
necessary.
Ed's bail bond, that's why.
My final couple of points. Mr. Jenkins called Sergeant Andreas later in that same shift after attempting to turn himself in for the crime
Did you just
to
walk in,
indicate
Ed?
on a phone call,
Yeah.
which occurred during a
Okay,
traffic
'cause
stop,
I
so
didn't
Sergeant
see us out the
Andreas' body
doors.
cam was running at the time, that he was, excuse me, Your Honor, expletive Mudbone man. He just tried to get me to get him a bunch of drugs, including Ativan. Now, the defense is going to claim that a doctor has
No.
signed off and prescribed
Tom's
those
got that
drugs to
wrong.
Mr.
Tyrone
Jones and
got
that he
me
was taking them
Ambien.
before he was arrested.
Mm.
Tyrone Jenkins indicates that this was only something that occurred 3 days after the attack on Deacon St. John, and I believe that that reasoning is because they are attempting to construct a defense around him being heavily medicated at the time. I do not believe that that is true.
Brighter than a bitch in here, I tell y'all that.
My final point that I need to make here is on the day of the attack, Deacon St. John, when he was indicating to Sergeant Andreas and Officer Law in CLS Hospital,
Sorry.
when he was indicating to the officers in CLS Hospital that he was attacked by Mr. Mudbone Jones,
Why do we got two
Mr.
bailiffs?
Mudbone Jones promptly arrived
not?
within the following 20 minutes at the hospital. When asked by the officers why he was there, he claimed that he'd been bitten by a dog whilst performing a property check at the Vinewood Bowl in the north of the city. Now, again, the defense is going to use the same claim that Mr. Jones made, which was that he initially thought the dog bite was nothing, drove down to South Los Santos, then realized that it was a problem and drove to CLS to be treated. I would argue that this property check, whether it took place or not, which his GPS indicates that it did, but it was very short.
Thank God.
I do
hope
not
you do a good
believe that a
job,
dog
lawyer.
bit him on this property check, nor do the officers
Right
who
now we going down.
ultimately ended up arresting him. His wounds looked to be caused by some kind of bladed instrument, maybe a roughly bladed one, but certainly not dog's teeth. I believe that this was a fabrication made up by Mr. Mudbone Jones to justify his presence at the hospital where he somehow knew Deacon St. John was. I don't know how, but that is my my impression. Now, the reason I believe there is a motive here, the same as Sergeant Andreas and Officer Law, is after Mr. Jones was treated for his potential dog bite, he left through the main doors, only to reappear 10 minutes later, coming out of an elevator from the second floor and asking the officers what was going on. The officers had seen a shadowy figure in the hallway and were wondering if Deacon St. John was at risk. This could have been Mudbone Jones. It could have been somebody else. However, the fact that he suddenly reappeared at CLS from a second floor after leaving via the main door after being treated for his dog bite raised suspicion with the officers, especially given that he was the
Multiple
indicated
entrances to
attacker
the
of Deacon
building.
St. John. He claimed to them that he came back to recover a picture of his wife, who he is not on good terms with and who he has actually attempted to
What does my
convince
personal
that he
life
was
gotta
dead
do with this?
twice, and most recently, successfully, I believe, until she found out about his arrest. If I may have 1 minute, Your Honor, I will make my closing remark here.
You may wrap it up.
Thank you. It is therefore my intention, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to present to you that Mr. Mudbone Jones, in the days following the attack, has actually done more to prove that he is somehow involved. Don't forget either that his GPS places him at the scene, a serving police sergeant on the scene of an attempted murder with a
I was on
gun,
patrol.
not a knife, not a silent attack, 2 shots that he was within 500 feet of and
Bro,
did
you going to
nothing.
jail.
Ask yourself why, ladies and gentlemen, and ask yourself why he went through all of the trouble he has gone through in the following days to attempt to cover up his involvement. That is all, Your Honor.
Very well.
Up time.
Damn.
Defense, are you ready for your rebuttal?
I am, sir.
By
You
the
may
way, Hill,
proceed.
I don't see you in here.
What?
I'm all the way in the back.
Who don't you see?
Hill.
Yeah, I
Oh
see
no,
him.
now I see him.
The prosecution has painted a
Sorry.
pretty picture on what they think is going on with this whole shooting and the unfortunate incident involving Mr. St. John. They've brought up several things which I feel are relevant. There was no attack on Mr. St. John at the hospital. There was no ill harm intended. My client visited the hospital. So, it's a big hospital. He was even on the 2nd floor, which isn't where Mr. St. John was. So, I would question why he's bringing this up. My client has made several statements concerning his, the location of the murder weapon or the shooting, the weapon used in the shooting. One of those pieces of evidence that you will see is a letter from Mr. Jones' doctor stating that he has been prescribed medication for sleep, to help him with his sleep. And one of the side effects is to cause confusion, especially if it is too high a dose, to which they do show that his Ativan dosage was too high and was modified shortly after his arrest. He's prescribed the medication. There is a prescription. The doctor did prescribe it prior to all of these incidents. Also, lack of sleep is one of the reasons why Mr. Jones didn't hear the shots when he was down in Vespucci Beach. He was in a closed patrol car with the air conditioning on high, down in the area. That's 410 is, or 310 is not a large area. And sounds get lost in the city. No one came screaming up looking for help. So that would be
Old
just
age.
an unfortunate, side effect of sleep deprivation.
Old as fuck.
As to the motive for killing Mr. St. John, I mean, his compatriots, even though he says they weren't involved, his compatriots have way more reason to show or to wish him ill for foiling their plans with Detective Orgeron. They are known felons. They, have many times attempted to kill each other amongst, members of law enforcement. The fingerprints of Mr. Jenkins were found on the weapon. The weapon was located down near the pier, and you can see Mr. Sergeant Jones' vehicle was down at the pier after the shooting, and he's just got confused on when he picked the pistol up. He was under a lot of stress. He's still having problems with his sleeping. It's confusing his recollection of events. So I can't understand why the prosecution would bring a case against a long-standing officer of the law who has had a checkered career, but has had a very positive influence on the community as a whole. let's see. I would, call into question why they would say the that Mr. Jenkins was trying to provide Ativan to Sergeant Jones. That he already had a prescription for that. So, why, other than to muddy the waters, would he be making such statements? Let's see. We'll go down the list. What did I not cover?
I don't know. I haven't
So.
been paying attention.
Wow.
Covered most.
And as far as the shadowy figure wearing a cowboy hat, I mean, it's a hat. People wear hats if they're trying
There's
to frame
3 people
officer
in
of the
here
law
wearing
who
a hat.
always wears a Stetson hat. He would be wearing a hat to match that description, just out of range.
Gotta
It
represent.
makes no real sense for an officer or an assailant to kidnap someone, take them down to the pier, throw them over a railing, and then attempt to shoot them.
Oh, also the vehicle type. There's multiple vehicles that look like Crown Vics.
And then for the vehicle to be in the area, being a 4-door sedan, I mean, there's many 4-door sedans that are the same size and shape as a police vehicle. I can think of a Washington or even a
Daniel.
what? And
Stanier.
a Stanier
Oh God,
vehicle,
fool.
which could be, they frequent the area down there. So I'm not sure that the prosecution has shown any positive evidence to, firmly linking Mr. Jones to this case. Besides Mr. St. John, who has multiple times in the last, I can think, 72 hours attempted to murder Mr. Jones. He obviously has a vendetta against him, which existed many weeks prior.
Counsel, hold on a moment. Sir, that clearing your throat. Is there something you need to say? You may proceed, counsel.
This judge.
As to the relationship between Ed Ogeron and Mudbone Jones, they have been friends for many years, and they operate a bail bond business on the side. Both of them do. Mr. Ogeron would be paying Mr. Jenkins bail under employ of that business. They are attempting to, have a plan after retirement. So it's not very suspicious for a bail bondsman to be providing bail for a felon.
See, Tom.
I would like to seek some clarification there, Your Honor.
Okay.
Very well.
May I ask the defense when this bail bonds company went into business?
It was before all this went down.
Give me
I
a
can
date.
get you a date.
You'll have time to follow up at the end of their statement.
Oh shit.
Oh, okay, very well, thank you.
I can't answer with it's prior to all of these events transpiring.
The 6th
I'll have
of June.
to check the records for the business filing, but it was before everything went in this case occurred.
Very well. The defense may proceed with their testimony.
Believe that's it.
Counsel, you may proceed.
I believe I've covered everything that needs to be covered at the moment. I just want the jury to remember that Mr. Jones is a upstanding member of law enforcement, and he has served his community for many years and has made many enemies who would be quite interested in, having him disgraced or removed. And did we correct? Okay, we did not. All my control limits. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Very well. Prosecution, do you have any follow-up questions?
At this time, Your Honor, no, I do not believe I do.
Okay, are you both ready to rest your case then?
Prosecution rests.
Defense?
1 second, Your Honor. I'm just double checking my records here.
June the 6th.
The bail bonds company was incorporated on June 6th of 2020.
Very well. Defense, are you ready to rest your case?
Yes, Your Honor. I do believe we're ready to rest our case.
Very well. Bailiffs, clear the courtroom so the jury may deliberate.
Do I stay or go?
Yes, Your Honor. Everyone all rise and proceed to the exit of the courtroom.
Yeah, I don't know what about
Okay.
the interior, but
Do I leave or stay?
The
Okay.
jury is. Oh,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, gonna have you come over here. You may go into my office to deliberate.
listen, that motherfucker needs to be thrown out. He's not doing his job as a juror.
What?
which one?
We're shaking now.
What's going on, Ed?
You know, I ain't been the same. You see how my fucking spine's all bent like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say you injured.
Oh yeah, I'm fucked up from the floor up
Uh,
ever since I got shot.
Deputies, do you want to clear out the firefighter in the back room as well?
Let's go out here. I don't want the judge coming down here and
Clear the firefighter.
Sir, if we can have you clear from here.
Are we leaving or are we staying?
Sir.
He may be out of his head, and that's fine if he is.
Should probably bring our voices down a little
Just-
bit so
just
everybody
escort
there
him
can't
out.
hear us.
I would just cuff him and carry him out.
No, you two stay in the courtroom. You make sure no one. One of you post up by my office door, the other by the courtroom door.
Oh, there he is. Now he's here. This is a jank ass courtroom.
Nope.
Oh, do you need me to leave? Like, I mean, I don't
Oh,
know
you
if
bet.
they was doing it on purpose, but just, not to say that it was him, but yeah,
the fuck
white
up.
berm habs aren't exactly commonplace, but definitely not some concrete evidence you're gonna hang your head on.
I'm just out in the antechamber.
Service end meeting.
Especially since it
The
was
lobby.
the only quote unquote thing that linked.
Members of the jury, I'm going to give you the actual word of the criminal statute in the civ chat, so you may refer to it. I said I'm going to provide you with the
God damn it, whisper, you bitch.
Mm.
There we go. Okay. I'll be back.
Joe.
Yep.
I'm gonna run out and grab a quick smoke while they're
Alright.
deliberating.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we chose not to call witnesses on both sides before all this, just to reduce time of it. I don't know. I wish I would have said. I wish I would have said something or something. You know, tried to defend myself a little bit more than the lawyer did. So, let's plan for the future. How do I file an appeal?
How do you what?
How do
Appeal?
I file an appeal? Yeah. I don't think it's gonna go well.
Discordious. They're going to auditorium. It's like the other thing is, please, they should try to remember that this is not a real court and nobody has any experience in doing this. So,
Yeah.
but you know.
Yeah, I wish I would have, like, made a statement or something before they went back, but what's done is done.
Well, usually you don't want to make a statement because then the defense or the prosecution gets to say something, gets to question you as well.
Oh, I don't care if they question me. Fuck, let them. Like, I kind of think it would have went better if they had.
Well, then you end up rambling and saying things that you shouldn't.
I was on drugs at the time, damn it. Like, I've had time to see my wrongs. Give me a chance.
I just wish I'd had more than 15, 20 minutes to prepare for what we were doing, but you know.
Yeah, Ricky, Mud didn't have the gun at the time. Mud found it the day after the shooting.
Well, as long as that's all he's saying. Trial went back to work.
Oh, fuck. How many minutes has it been?
I don't know. I haven't been keeping track.
Yeah, me neither. Oh, shit. Trial, Rick, not trail. Trial. Damn, Rick, you can't spell. Yeah, John, the actual murder weapon didn't get lost. It was the other one that got lost that was not connected, but it's still, like, I think we should have brought that into light, but, like, my memory's bad, so I didn't bring it to the table.
I'm back.
Why is he tweeting? Was asked.
Are we back in session?
Let me convince St. John. Shit.
Oh god, everybody's black for me and disappearing.
Yeah, this interior's fucked up. Like, this is something we didn't see on the beta server.
That's weird.
Yeah, it keeps breaking instance when they walk around in here.
Yeah, I think I know how to fix it. It's just, not something I can do instantly.
Right.
So they're still deliberating?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad I didn't miss anything.
Can you toss this before it leaks all over the place? Thank you.
Yeah, Ricky probably should have brought a sleeping bag.
Minus the fact I still have to do the blues and the purples. What do you think?
Cool.
A bit of roots that we didn't get, and I have some grays still in my hair.
Hmm.
So we're gonna. Then I wanted to do it anyways, even if we got it covered. I was gonna put some blue and purple into there just to give it a little.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Here they come.
There's a couple of them coming out.
Yeah, the judge just walked in and went invisible when he went in.
I don't guess they can make up their mind. Ricky coming in with a bit. Appreciate it, man. Well, here comes the judge. And there goes the judge.
Sir, if you can step up to the judge.
All the way up to the bench.
Oh, you're not counsel. You just stay seated.
Oh, I didn't hear shit. I just thought it was time.
Oh, no. Go.
Okay,
Sit
so
down.
the jury has a request. They would like to have Deacon St. John and Mudbone both testify. That is completely up to counsel. If
Yes,
you both
yes.
agree to either, that is
Yes.
acceptable. If you
Yeah,
if
I'll
either
do
one
that.
of you
Shit, yeah.
disagrees,
Just stand
won't
up and say. Just say that. Just say that out loud.
Yeah, Your Honor, I would. Yeah, let's do that.
I advise against that, Mr. Jones.
Man, I feel like I got some shit to say and I need to say it.
Okay, Mr. Jones
No,
appears to agree, despite the
Oh, shit,
objection of his
We got
counsel.
it right quick.
Mr.
Is he
Prosecutor,
allowed to do that?
I mean,
It's his case. Oh,
he's the
Okay.
defendant. If you're okay with it, counsel.
I mean, my personal opinion is actually in agreement with the defense, but it seems we are the minority.
Okay then. So now on St. John testifying.
I have no objection, Your Honor. I mean, he's.
Mr. Prosecutor.
At this point, why not?
Very well. Bailiff, go ahead and bring the jury back in. Counsel, please resume your places.
Oh, shit, John. Gonna get off on this motherfucker. Get out of the way,
Slawinski.
lawyer.
Go ahead and let the audience outside know they're more than welcome to come in if they haven't already.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, jury, if you'd like to take your seats.
If you perjure yourself and get.
I remind you
get
that you are
arrested.
still under
Listen,
oath.
I'm gonna think real hard on this, on what my response is. Right on. Good jury. Good jury. I know what they're doing.
Mr. Jones, please remain silent until you're called to
Oh,
testify.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Mr. Giggles, did you have something to say?
No, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Mr. Giggles.
Man, look at this. Ain't a
Very
black man on this
well.
jury. Look
At
at
the
him.
request of the jury, the prosecution, I believe Mr. St. John was your witness. You may call him to the stand if you wish.
Is he here? Yeah, okay. Huh?
A whole bunch of people are invisible again.
Mr. Prosecutor?
Oh well.
Prosecutor.
Is everyone able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear you, Your Honor.
Yeah, it was
Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Firearms
Okay,
coming in with
for both the prosecution
300
and the defense,
bits.
we will
Appreciate
be
the support
limiting
as
this to
always, man.
15 minutes
Fuck this
per
dude.
witness.
3 emotes
7
shared
for the
to the channel.
7 for the party calling the witness, and 7 for the party cross-examining. Mr. Prosecutor, you may call your witness.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
No. Together.
No.
Add them together.
15 and 15, so 30.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, 30 minutes cross-examination. 30 minutes questioning.
Sure.
Very well.
I find this highly irregular, Your Honor.
You know nothing about this is regular.
Yeah, I know. We gotta
yeah.
refine
Looks like the
this
prosecutor's been
process.
drinking.
Shit.
Mr. Prosecutor, you may call your
Shit, we're gonna be
first
here all night.
witness
Fucking around.
and silence in the
Need to
peanut
put out
gallery,
some
or I'll have you jailed
construction
on
tape
contempt.
outside. This is a mess.
I believe
I
my
know.
first witness is going to be Mr. Deacon St. John, but I don't know where he is.
Oh,
He's in the first
you
row, I
skipped
believe.
town again.
Mr. St. John, if you'll take the box to my left
Point at it.
and let me know when you're there, because I seem to be having some vision problems this evening.
Yeah, me too.
He's sitting in the corner.
No, he just went up there. Sat down.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Deputy Lax, if you'd swear in the witness.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's a goddamn catastrophe.
Sir, would you raise your right hand if you would? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you may be seated.
Very well, prosecution, you may begin your questioning.
Very well. Mr. St. John,
Yes, sir.
in your own words, would you like to describe to me the events of Monday night when you were attacked?
Yes, sir. So I was up at the cemetery, northern Los Santos.
Oh, shit.
And I got a call from one Mudbone Jones saying to meet him down at a Italian sushi or seafood restaurant. I believe that is at
Can I object?
No. What?
328.
I didn't call him.
As I got down there, he pulls
What are you
in
objecting
in
to?
a marked
I didn't call him. That's what the fuck I'm objecting to.
Crown Vic.
Okay.
We
I'll do it
talked.
under cross-examination.
He says that radio's going crazy in his head, so he's fixing that. We started talking. He didn't really want to talk much because.
What did you do?
He was. He thought I was wired.
I believe St. John called. He
So
called me
I
or he
went over
texted
to my
me
vehicle,
one.
proved that I wasn't in a wire,
I told him
and
to-
that's when I got tased
Well, shit,
and
you know,
threw
if
in
we
handcuffs.
say it this way, then
He then
it's
threw
gonna
me
prove I
in the back
lied.
of his police car, drove me over to the inlet there at 310, tossed me over the railing, walked me down to the water, and shot me
got
twice.
me in a pickle. I don't know.
From
Lawyer,
there,
this is your fucking job to
I
get
was
me
in and
out
out
of
of
this
consciousness.
mess I've woven myself into.
Next thing I know is I'm at CLS, and wake up whenever you and Casey Law show up.
Sergeant Andreas.
Yeah, sorry, Sergeant Andreas and
Yeah,
Casey Law show up.
Okay. Why were you? You said Mudbone called you, or you called Mudbone? Apologies.
Mudbone called me. I sent him a text earlier tonight saying I needed to talk.
And what did you want to talk to him about?
The statement that he made to me at Mission Row about him knowing what I did.
I see. Why did you feel you needed to talk to Mr. Jones about that?
We have a strange past, and we normally talk it out, and it ends in gunshots. Well, I had the text I had sent him saying that I wanted to talk to him, no guns.
This don't seem right.
I didn't have any pistols on me, and there
Hey,
was
this motherfucker shot at me. Let's bring that shit up.
So I thought we was going to do a gentleman's agreement and
shot at you
talk to
when?
him and find out everything that I
After he
about what
accused
he
me
meant
of
that
attempting to murder him.
that he knows what I did, and I don't think I ever found that out.
Because you were attacked?
Yes.
Okay, before you had a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, the only thing I really asked him about was him being something that Ed said, that Ed thinks that he's Tyrone's father.
Okay. So
fuck you, Ed. Starting rumors.
You're the baby daddy.
You still what? what was your reason for wanting to talk to him about his statement? What did you think you needed to clear up, Mr. St. John?
I just wanted to know what he meant by it, because it was very, the way the tone he said it in was very ominous.
Okay. I see.
You want me to start ordering you the woo to be
So,
delivered to the prison now?
I'm gonna go over this one more time. Please do correct me if I'm mistaken at all.
Bro, you finna get fucked.
You texted Mudbone Jones after your encounter at Mission Row, saying you wanted to meet, which is apparently a thing you've done in the past.
Yes,
He
sir.
called you and told you to meet him at, did you say 382 or 328?
328 Gomer Street.
Okay, which is it called La Spada? Something like that.
I believe so. He just said Italian seafood.
Okay. So you pulled up in the parking lot. You had a brief discussion. You were you asked about a wire, or did you proffer that you weren't wearing one?
He said, I want to recall that he said that, how do I know you're not wearing a wire?
Okay. So then you attempted to prove that you weren't,
Yes.
and you were tased.
Yes.
After being tased, you were handcuffed,
Correct.
placed in the back of the police vehicle that Mr. Jones had driven there.
Correct.
Driven down to 310 Bay City Avenue.
Yep.
Thrown over the railing and then shot.
Yes.
Okay. And you positively remember who your attacker was.
Yes, I do.
And just for the benefit of the ladies and gentlemen in the jury, can you name that person?
Yeah, that would be one Mudbone Jones.
Oh, you're lying.
Thank you, Mr.
Fucking
St.
lying.
John. Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Leading the motherfucking witness
Defense?
like a cow.
No, cows don't get that much guidance.
I know, right?
Ricky coming in with another bit. Appreciate it, man.
Defense, you may cross-examine.
I don't know. What questions do you think I should ask him?
Um,
I'd bring up
how
his
high was he
history,
in CLS?
You know,
Well, I'm telling you, nothing to show.
I would ask him
One
that.
second, Your Honor.
Very well. Do you need
I'd
a
ask him
recess?
how high he
or-
was in CLS. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'd ask about his criminal history. The guy's got a rap sheet longer than
that's-
your leg.
Yes.
His fucking criminal history,
So how
like
believable
make
is
him admit that he's tried to murder me twice after all this.
Right, but
I don't
I'm not
know.
sure
I
if
don't know
that's
how the
gonna
fuck
help.
this works.
Got to cast doubt that this guy could be lying.
Right,
So,
I know.
criminal history that he's in it for
Officer in the
himself.
back of the courtroom. Phones are not permitted to be used in this courtroom during court.
Got him.
Peanut Gallery, as I've instructed prior, you are to remain silent unless addressed.
Mr. St. John, you've testified that you wanted to meet Mr. Jones at a location to discuss his statement that you found ominous.
Correct.
Okay. And why would you want to meet with somebody in person that that sounded ominous?
I don't like talking over phones to people. I'm very weary when it comes to cell phones and uses of them.
And is it true that the last time you had a meeting with Mr. Jones where you wanted to talk about statements, you ended up shooting Mr. Jones?
Objection, Your Honor. It's not relevant to this case.
Defense, how are you gonna want to say it's relevant?
It shows to motive, and that Mr. Jones had cause to feel that Mr. St. John was attempting to ambush him again.
Objection. Did that not occur afterwards?
It's a history.
I'm trying
No,
to
he's tried to
establish a
murder me
history,
before.
Your Honor.
Objection overruled. You may continue, counsel.
Can you repeat the question?
Is it not true that the last time you met with my client, Mr. Jones, you opened fire on him when you just wanted to talk?
No, I've met with him multiple times and no gunshots have rung out.
You a
There have
goddamn
been-
liar, St. John.
Mr. Jones, you will remain silent unless you are on the stand.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I believe the court has record of Mr.
You a
St. John
goddamn
opening
liar,
fire
St.
on
John.
Mr. Jones up at, I believe it was the Vinewood Bowl.
Let me just pull that up and say.
Hold on. To be precise, he said the last time I met with Mudbone, which the last time I met with him, you can see on my record that I had a ticket from him when I got pulled over.
I said met, not encountered.
Counsel, if you'd like to rephrase your question to the witness.
I
Dumb it
believe
down for him.
I phrased it correctly, but
The last time we met
I'll
at the
go ahead.
Vinewood fucking Bowl.
I'll put it as, you asked for a meeting with Mr. Jones to discuss things at the Vinewood Bowl. Did you not open fire on him?
At that time, yes, but we've also met previously before that, where I was.
The witness has answered the question. He will not expand his testimony.
And since this, you have, of course, attempted to assassinate my client.
Objection, Your Honor. That's not relevant.
It
It
shows
occurred
history.
after the alleged offense we're here to talk about.
It shows that this is an ongoing event of my client has been attacked multiple times by a known felon. And in multiple encounters, he has both shot and, and
Counsel, is your intent to call into question the
credibility of Mr.
credibility of
St.
the
John?
witness?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I believe you'll want to assume make a motion to assume the witness as hostile and then proceed with your questioning.
He hasn't made any statements that are hostile at the time. He's just not answering the questions.
No, I'm answering your questions. You're just phrasing them differently.
Make the motion that he's hostile.
Then, yes, sir, I want to have him considered a hostile witness.
Very well. Continue. Objection overruled.
Bingo.
Mr. St. John, on multiple occasions you have attempted to kill my client. On multiple occasions you have violently assaulted my client. There is ample evidence that my client was concerned for his safety when he arrived
Counsel,
to speak with you.
if you're going to ask a question, ask it. You're not to testify.
What was your intention in meeting with my client on that day?
To talk to him about what happened with Ed and see what his statement was of, I know what you did.
Why?
Because I want to know what Ed told him and why why he came up to me aggressively, said, I know what you did, and left and stormed off.
You were concerned that my client was upset with you.
Were you concerned?
What's that?
Counsel, just be advised you are approaching the time limit.
Yeah, I want to know why he was so aggressive when I
can't hear
had
you,
done
Scott.
nothing
What did you say?
that day. Actually, shit. almost a whole month of not attacking him or even talking to him. And out of nowhere, he becomes aggressive with me and just storms off instead of, talking like a man and not acting like a child.
See, I
Council,
stormed
one
off.
more question, then
I
we'll reach time.
didn't take
What?
him. See,
You what?
motherfucker said I stormed off. Like that proves I didn't take him. I didn't do it to him. There we go.
I have no further questions for him, Your Honor. He's obviously
Objection. The defense does not need to speculate.
Sustained. The jury will disregard the defense counsel's last statement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Mr. St. John, thank you for your time. You are excused. Defense, I believe the next witness is yours.
No shit. Okay.
You sure you want to get up there?
Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
why the fuck not?
Oh shit! Oh shit! What you doing?
Wrong
What you
way.
doing?
Oh, well, hold on.
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
Okay. Which side
Put
you
me in,
want me on,
coach.
Your Honor?
Let's go ahead and have you on my right side since I can actually see you over there.
Okay, on your right side.
He's
one of us.
invisible. Invisible, 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 invisible.
Oh, maybe I can't see you.
Oh, he's.
Oh, that
You
side.
went to his
My
left
left.
side.
Okay, this works too.
Well, I
Deputy
don't know,
Slonski,
Your
swear in
Honor.
the witness.
You're fine.
Okay, fine. This is good.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very well, defense. Go ahead.
Oh boy.
What do you want to ask?
I don't know. You
Yeah,
Like, I
start,
just-
start off that you got a history. Do you have a history of violent encounters with Mr. St. John? Something like that. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Jones. Do you have a history of violent encounters with Mr. St. John?
absolutely. Every time I'm on duty and St. John wants to quote unquote meet me somewhere, he usually pulls out a weapon of some type and goes to shooting. Our last encounter before the accusations of this case were made, Mr. St. John pulled out a sawed-off shotgun in the parking lot of Vinewood Bowl and proceeded to try and shoot me.
Well, do you want me to ask what was your intention in meeting with him?
Yeah, you can ask that. I don't care.
And when you went to meet Mr. St. John this time, what was your intention?
My intention was to see what St. John wanted because, unlike what St. John said, St. John called me.
Also,
Put your phone away.
you could bring up something about his long, distinguished career. How long have you served?
And Mr. Jones, how long have you served with the Los Santos Police Department?
Oh, I've been a police officer within the state of San Andreas for over 30 years.
And in this time, how long have you been dealing with Mr. St. John?
Oh, I would say I've been dealing with St. John for probably about a year or so now.
Would you say that Mr. St. John has reason to discredit your service?
I believe that St. John may be wanting to make these false accusations because he just wants me to be dead, or wants me to live a miserable life, as he's proven in the past by shooting me multiple times.
All right. And do you want me to ask you anything else?
I don't know. This is your case, fuck. I don't know.
You're the one who wanted to get on the fucking stand.
Get me the fuck off of this. That's all I want.
Yeah,
Fuck.
get him out. Get him out.
Shit.
Get out of there, Coach. I know, right?
I
God
guess
damn.
that's it. Let's see what Tom has.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tom gonna
Ricky,
fucking
appreciate
rake
the
you over
next
the
bit,
coals, you
man.
dumb black
I have
bastard.
no further questions. I was not planning to question this witness. I apologize. I did not have any line of questioning in mind.
Very well.
I'll coach you.
son
Let's see
of a
what
bitch.
Tommy's got.
Oh, Tommy's got the fucking.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah,
gets his
Prosecutor, are you
GP.
ready to
motherfucker.
cross-examine?
I
Oh, he's
believe
got
I
the
am,
full
Your Honor.
degree.
Very well, proceed.
Oh, you
We
about
are
to get
fucked.
fucked.
Hang
You
on.
are fucked.
Okay, shut up.
Mr. Jones, could you possibly clarify for myself, the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and Mr. Deacon St. John, who I do not believe ever got an answer, what you meant by "I know what you did"?
I had obtained information about how St. John was involved with the kidnapping and release of Ed Ogeron.
Okay, and would you say that yourself and Detective Orgeron have a close personal partnership?
Absolutely. I've
does
been
I
working
got
with
to do with
Ogeron for
anything?
over 30 years. We went to the academy together.
So would it be fair to say that his unfortunate kidnapping was a point of distress for you?
Careful.
Be careful now.
I
You
would
don't
not
need to
say
grab
it
a
was a
rat
point
dog.
of stress. I would not say it was a stressful time for me, no, because I knew that my fellow officers at LSPD and other agencies within the state would apprehend Ed Ogeron's kidnappers.
Okay. So would it be fair then to say that you did not harbor any ill will towards Mr. St. John, since he was the third of three parties involved in the kidnapping and the only one that was not prosecuted?
Absolutely not, because I don't hold any ill will towards St. John, no matter our previous encounters. On the contrary, I'm very thankful of St. John for helping Mr. Ogeron escape the kidnapper's custody.
There you go.
Okay. So you've claimed that you and Mr. St. John have met several times. Would you care to clarify for me that you are referring to personal meetings between yourselves and not necessarily encounters in your official duties?
It's not personal meetings, no. It's like usually he's wanted and has a warrant, and he'll call me and he'll want to meet to discuss his warrant, and then at some point during the fucking meeting, sorry, Your Honor, during the meeting, he will pull out a firearm and go to shooting.
Mr.
Okay.
Jones, you caught yourself, but watch your language.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Jones, you sped by your own admission that on several occasions during said meetings, Mr. St. John has shot you. Would that would be fair a fair assumption, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would assume, therefore, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that on many of those occasions, the number of which we have not yet even identified, you did not tase Mr. St. John immediately.
Oh Lord.
Okay. I would like to
Is
ask,
that
how can I
correct?
tase a subject that is actively shooting at me?
Yeah, you're
Well,
dumb.
Mr. Jones, you said by your own admission just now that you guys would meet, begin talking, and then at some point during the conversation, Mr. St. John would pull out a gun and start shooting at you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. So my question to you is, on those occasions where you were shot, clearly, correct me if I am wrong, but clearly you did not tase Mr. St. John as soon as the encounter began.
Why would I
Right, yes
tase
or
a
no?
subject that's not being aggressive?
I'm glad you asked that question, Mr. Jones, because I would like to come back to the meeting at 328 Gomez Street, where you and Mr. St. John met. By his testimony, you asked if he was wearing a wire. He turned around to reveal that he wasn't, and then was tased. Why would you tase someone who is not a threat? As
Thought you saw a
a
weapon.
Los Santos police sergeant, Mr. Jones.
I do not recall ever tasing Mr. St. John.
Okay.
That works.
Do you recall the encounter?
I recall a phone call with Mr. St. John regarding meeting him at some place, yes. Damn.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you recall what place you were supposed to meet at?
I do not recall.
Do you recall if the meeting took place?
Again, I do not recall because shortly after the phone call with St. John, I had to go on a call to,
I didn't ask you where you were going, Mr. Jones.
what was your question? I'm sorry.
I just asked if you recalled if the meeting took place.
No, I do not recall.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to consider the witness hostile.
Go for it.
Mr. Jones, do you not think as a Los Santos police officer that if you have medication issues that are causing you severe memory loss, as they seem to still be, that you should probably take some medical leave off of work?
You got shot in the head. You're still recovering.
Okay, when are you asking? Like before
I'm saying in general,
accusations?
Mr. Jones. No, I'm saying in general. If you can't remember whether or not you had a phone call or a meeting or where the meeting was supposed to take place, do you not think if you're in that kind of state, medically speaking, that you shouldn't be working?
Well, I shouldn't be working, no, which I'm not working at this time. The reason I'm having such memory loss at this moment is because Deacon St. John tracked me down while I was laying in a pillbox hospital and shot me in the head 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm. So, you can't remember whether there was a meeting arranged. You can't remember where it was arranged. All you remember is that he rang you about a meeting.
I do remember that much, yes.
Not surprising with that
Right.
injury.
So do you remember at any point having your vehicle in or around the area of Bay City Avenue on Monday night?
On Monday night.
The night of the attack, Mr. Jones.
I do recall writing a report regarding something that happened in Vespucci Beach, yes.
You recall writing a report about something that happened in Vespucci Beach.
Right. I do believe that was a suspicious person's call at that same restaurant you mentioned. This is getting fucked.
Yep.
No.
Just keep going along the line of I don't recall.
And with head injuries, you can
So
have
that would be La
very
Spada,
spotty memory.
328 Gomez Street.
I'm
I
jumping
do believe
ship,
that's
guy.
correct, yes.
You're
So
fucked.
you attended
I'm
a
out.
suspicious person call
Get on the
at
plane. We're going
328
to Tahiti.
Gomez Street the night
I
of the
got it.
attack.
I'll catch you on the flip side, my nigga.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Did you or did you not attend a suspicious person's call at 328 Gomez Street on the night of the attack?
Oh, shit. You want me to take your
On the
Jeep?
night of the attack, yes.
And is that or is that not where Mr. St. John indicated that he believes he was meeting you?
That is
You
where
want me to
Mr.
take
St.
the
John
Jeep?
indicated, yes. However, I do not recall meeting Mr. St. John, no.
I didn't ask if you recalled. I asked if that's what Mr. St. John said.
That's what Mr. St. John accused, yes.
We done too much fucked up shit in this Jeep.
Your Honor, if I
know
may,
there's
I
some
would
hot
like to
pics on
address
me.
the jury here.
You'll have time for that after at the end of the trial.
Very well. At this time, I don't think I'm going to get anything else, so I have no further.
Yeah. Mr. Jones, thank you for your time. You are excused as a witness. You may resume your chair as the defendant.
Breaking.
Well, that way works too.
Prosecution,
think
do you
you're
rest your
fucked yet.
case?
As I said, Your
Well, I
Honor, I
couldn't
would
get
like
into
to
his
address
Jeep,
the jury
so-
before I do that.
I got
Yep,
one last
once you rest
lockpick.
your case, you'll be allowed to make closing statements.
My apologies. In that case, I rest my case, yeah.
I thought, dude, you had some
Defense?
shit in the Jeep that needs to go because we
Yes,
transported a
rest
lot of
my case.
motherfuckers. Okay.
Very
then.
well, prosecution. You may address the jury and make your closing statement.
You want me to run out and go hijack a plane?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
Yeah, you might want to.
I have presented to you today a case
I will pay you priceless.
that
I will pay you
indicates
very
that
wealthy.
Sergeant Mudbone Jones and Mr. St. John have a violent history. By both of their own admission, Mr. St. John has been violent. That includes Mr. St. John's admission. However, under cross-examination, you can see that Mr. Jones is not very forthcoming with information. He can't remember important facts about his
We need to
duties
point
as
out
a
that that's
police
due to
officer.
the medication I was on.
I
and
object,
indeed-
Your
shot in the
Honor.
head.
He was recently has medical issues that he was shot in the head, and
You'll be
he's
able,
still under treatment.
counsel, you'll be able to make your rebuttal in your closing statement.
Yeah.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Shit.
Mr. Jones is unable to recall the events around the night of Deacon St. John's attack. Indeed, the only events Mr. Jones seems to be able to recall are any events that obfuscate the matter and make it seem as though he is not guilty. In any situation where there might be evidence to be obtained or answers to be gained, Mr. Jones conveniently no longer remembers. You have just witnessed this yourself. Mr. Jones has made a point of stating that Deacon St. John has attacked him on several occasions in the
Really
past.
appreciate it
Mr.
another
St.
bit,
John
man.
has not refuted any of those claims. He has accepted that they have got a violent history, but by both of their admissions, they frequently meet under, despite these violent altercations, and they continue to meet and resolve issues, sometimes with violence and sometimes without. However, Mr. Jones would have you believe that every time he meets Deacon St. John shoots him. It is clear to me, and should be clear to you, that on the night in question, Deacon St. John did not shoot Mr. Jones because Mr. Jones did not go to hospital. In fact, the person who did go to hospital was Deacon St. John, who met Mr. Jones by his testimony, not Mr. Jones's, and was then tased with no reason, despite not being a threat,
Holy fuck.
driven down the street to a water inlet where he was shot. Now, the defense's entire argument revolves around the fact that Mr. Mudbone Jones has not been forthcoming with information. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I would argue that Mr. Jones has made every effort to try and legitimize the fact that he does not have any information, but yet I would question, and I would ask yourselves to question, why it is he can recall any information that incriminates Deacon St. John or somebody but himself, but can't recall anything that might incriminate him.
Because it happened before I was on the, or before
It
I got
is
off
clear
the
to
fucking
me, and it should be
Ativan,
clear to you, that a serving
and
Los
before I
Santos
went-
police
or-
officer
because I was shot in the fucking
has
head.
committed a crime
Yeah.
and then has used his inside knowledge in an
That's so
attempt
much
to
blame,
cover
Chum.
that
It's
crime
not- you ain't got
poorly,
no-
I might
Yeah.
add,
Bring me an M4.
and to place the blame for that
Without
offense
solve this jury
onto
issue.
a known felon,
No,
i.e. Tyrone Jenkins, that has a criminal
don't
history,
worry, Mudbone.
has a
I'm gonna
violent
go get
I
the
think you need to
company
put me
jet
on the
fired
bench.
up.
and is therefore an easy target.
I think you need to let me talk.
I am not here today to try Tyrone
No.
Jenkins. I'm not here today
Hell
to
no.
try Deacon St. John.
I can
I'm
save
not telling
you,
you
I
that either
promise.
of those men are good people. But we're not here today to decide whether they are good or bad people. What
So
we're here
anything
today
happens,
to
if I get up
decide
and
is
walk
whether or
off.
not Mr. Mudbone Jones, whilst on duty as a Los Santos police officer,
But bullshit.
attempted to kill a citizen of this state, felon or not, unjustly.
That's an accusation.
Please
You
make the
got
right
no
decision,
evidence.
ladies and gentlemen.
Jason.
Your Honor, the prosecution rests.
The boy
Very well, defense,
Fuck
you
the
may make your closing
prosecution.
statement.
Good luck, boss.
Yeah, thanks. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we've heard
We
a lot
fucked.
of statements about Mr. Jones, how they believe he tased Mr. St. John and threw him over a fence and shot him. We've heard, that they do have a history of violent encounters in the past. And the main testimony is from the person who has initiated every one of these violent encounters. And my client here cannot remember anything from the short term because he was shot in the head in yet another violent encounter while laying in a hospital bed, recovering from injuries sustained, presumably by either Mr. St. John or his associates.
St. John, we hooked him up on that shit.
How to phrase this? I think it's very clear that with everything that's happened, it looks like they have changed tactics to, instead of trying to directly shoot him and kill him, they have tried to besmirch his service and call into question his integrity as a police officer and say that he has now tried to, I guess, eliminate Mr. St. John when he has never done so in the past. Therefore, I would ask you to consider that Mr. Jones has a long history of being a law enforcement officer. He has encountered many people who would consider him a threat to their way of life, and therefore have conspired to eliminate him in another way other than shooting him. And now that that is in question, they have tried to eliminate him through violent means once again. There's no concrete evidence tying my client to this shooting. So I would ask you to consider all of that, and the defense rests.
Your Honor, if I may.
Mr. Jones,
Oh, God.
I highly recommend you leave this in the capable hands of your counsel.
Nah, bro. This is
Okay,
this is
well then
literally
fine. I
Buford
just wanted
right
to make
now.
a final appeal to the jury, but that's okay. That's okay.
That is what your defense counsel's for.
Hey, man.
Okay, well, fuck the
I'm
defense
headed to
counsel,
the
fuck
airport as soon
everybody
as I
else,
get
fuck
out of
everybody.
here.
Right.
Hey,
Mr.
thank
Jones,
God.
your language.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm mumbling, just mumbling.
If you mutter that word in my court again, it'll be $100 per time you mutter it.
Yeah, sir.
$100, man.
Understood.
Fuck this judge. He's from California. Get fucked. I'm about to say
Pull out
fuck
the
all of
nine.
them.
Very well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
I'm about to start. Oh shit, they about to let him out.
In a
Fuck,
moment,
you going to
the
jail,
bailiff
bro.
will take you to the jury room, which is actually my office, to consider your verdict.
Oh
One of
fuck,
the
you
first
going
things
down,
you will
bro.
want to do is select a foreperson that will preside over your deliberations the way that a chairperson does at a meeting. It'll be the foreperson's duty to sign the verdict form when you have agreed on a verdict. Whatever verdict you render must be unanimous. That
Oh,
is,
you
each
going
and every
down, bro.
person must agree on the same verdict. The bailiff will now escort you into the
Wait, you got the
deliberation room.
Lucianos over there. You try lining their pockets?
Deputy
No, I
Slawinski,
didn't know they was
escort
gonna
them,
be on the
please.
fucking jury.
You got any food
Fuck.
or water?
Follow me.
Kind of thirsty.
I don't got no food. I'm sweating
ahead,
bullets.
Stefan.
All my goddamn 4 men hair product is sweating out. My gray
Ahem.
boys are showing.
Ghost.
Man in the hat with the back.
Mm.
Muttering that word will be a $100 fine.
Oh well, you know what?
Sorry, if
Are we doing
gotta
this
pee.
in?
if you
Wait,
need
which
anything,
man in the
just
hat?
come.
The one
Me,
who
dumbass.
mutters the word damn.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's go back into our deliberation.
Very well, court is in
Disqualified.
recess until the jury finishes their deliberations. We'll give them 10 minutes.
Get out of the way. Get out of the fucking way.
Mr. Mudbone, that is $100 for cursing in my courtroom.
We're in deliberations.
You're still in my courtroom, sir.
Fuck. Well, fine. I'm
Fuck me,
sorry,
fuck,
Your
fuck,
Honor.
fuck,
I'll
fuck,
pay you
Yeah,
at the end of this.
fuck. Yeah, see that shit? Fuck that goddamn California judge. Fuck. Fucking
I'll
cock.
have the jet waiting by the gateway.
I
gotta get the fuck out of here, mud.
I'm serious.
We're going to Tahiti.
I'm gonna go get a jet ready.
What?
Yeah, let's go.
Because you're all gonna make a run for it.
Let's
I
go.
know that.
Yep. Let's go. Get the Jeep ready, boy. We gotta get the fuck out of here. Let's go, motherfucker. Get the
And
Jeep
you
ready.
walking kind of
Mud,
slow
where are you
today.
going? For a
Shit.
reason.
Man, I'm going to get a smoke.
Backup plan.
No, don't get no fucking. Bring your ass. We getting some
Throwing
smokes.
that on no grass
Or
now.
do you not want me to have a jet ready, Buford?
No, get your fucking jet ready. Okay.
I doubt they let me go if I'm being charged.
Hey, there's a
Well.
cop. Oh, wait, no, it's a firefighter.
You got cops on your side. You can run.
And I'm like the door.
Yeah. Why are you knocking out
Well,
my
if you
window?
can get away and make a run for it,
Sorry.
I'll be at the airport for you.
Papa, Mud, what you doing? Mud.
Having a smoke.
We need to get the fuck out of
But
here,
you might
man.
want Joe to jump in and take the pilot seat when you get down there.
Okay.
Man,
This
fuck
ain't going the
this.
way we planned it.
I know it ain't, but
We
I'm
need to
gonna
get-
file an appeal if I get convicted.
Motherfucker, fuck on the pill. We can go to Tahiti and you be scot free.
You're about to get escorted back in.
You need to get the fuck out of here. They about to send some cops out here. You ready to bring your ass?
Why the fuck they sending cops out here? I'm just having a smoke.
Man, we need to get the fuck on. Come on. I'll drive.
Now, Ed, you gonna get your ass arrested for trying to get me to run.
I'm trying to get you to run. Motherfucker, we both going down if you go down. Fuck you smoking.
I'm smoking a cigarette.
All right, you take your ass back in there. And watch they say you guilty of that the day you was born.
Well, you know, when they say I'm guilty, I'm gonna point out that the jury is all white. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that I didn't get to speak to the jury directly. And problem number three, I
You
have
ain't never gonna
questions
be
about
able
my
to speak to
counsel.
the jury to goddamn. You're not gonna be able to speak to the jury goddamn directly. They ain't gonna give you that.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what. When I file my appeal, if I get convicted,
Hold on,
I'm
hold
representing
what you got.
myself. Fuck this
Yes,
goddamn
lady.
counsel shit.
How can I help you?
Yeah, I just wanted to come over here and introduce myself.
Okay, boys, all you gotta do is get to the airport. I'll have
Shake
a
spicy.
jet ready for
It's
you.
gonna happen.
Oh, I'm
What?
I'm not
You
sure.
can do it.
Think he's gonna be found guilty?
It's possible.
Oh, I'm just saying for a scratch.
I
Even if
don't
his
know
lawyers,
what,
Out of
what
control
Buford's
Amtrak
plan is.
train. I'm on a goddamn rail and I can't stop it.
Out of
It's being
control senile
railroaded.
cop.
Wait.
Go put him in cuffs,
Man,
boys.
fuck
Guys,
everything in this
again,
motherfucking
unanimous,
place.
so it
Okay,
could be a
I can
hung
go
jury.
inside now.
Mr. Jones,
Guys, please do not
you're
antagonize.
free to say, well,
No.
Fucking hood rats. Bunch of hood rats.
Tell me about it.
It's probably Tyrone Jenkins.
I'm just hoping the damn
Probably.
jet spawns over here.
Now, back to giving Mudbone Jones a citation for $100.
Where the fuck are you at? Yeah, go ahead and issue. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm ready. I'll pay it right now.
Shit. How much you guys charge for jets on this server?
A lot.
Yeah.
I got a dodo.
Yeah, well, that ain't gonna help right now. Because guess what? Ain't nothing
Sugar
spawned.
britches, calm down.
You're hanging around trash. That's what you get.
He does a sugar britches.
Oh, that's just a garage.
Are you wanting to?
Calling me fucking. Oh wait, I can say that in here. Callie's over here.
Hey, Casey.
Hang on, Ed.
Everybody's invisible. Shit.
No, there's a ball. There's a boo-boo. Hey, Your Honor.
yes.
Oh shit! I better.
Why you so uptight? It's a fair question. No disrespect.
I
Unless it's
strongly
Saki look
suggest you consider how you phrase
the
your
fucking-
questions when you're in a room where I am the deciding factor.
Yeah, I understand that. I just was asking why you were so uptight. That's all.
Because I strongly
might have a
encourage
problem,
respect
Haas.
of the court and the judicial system. I will not have a mockery made of it in my courtroom.
Oh,
A mockery. Okay, and is
That
that
is
because you're from
fucking wrong.
California and not from the South?
I believe in
Let
the
that be
South,
known.
they hold people to the same standards in a courtroom.
You know,
Ed, stop.
I'm from the darn.
Just relax, Ed.
I seen blacker women
You
with
looking
more
for the
bite than him.
entrance?
All right, whatever. All I got today to Your Honor. Over here.
Right there.
It's all good.
Oh no, it ain't all
there
good.
ain't no planes
This
spawned
is
here.
beyond all good.
Ed,
Yeah.
never
And I
mind.
keep running into shit.
No, you'll say it. We cool. I don't take no offense to you.
No. No, I can't. I can't right now.
Oh yeah, cause you know, Captain F-bomb over there.
Oh, maybe if I went to the right place for a dealer.
What'd you say?
I said, Captain F-bomb over there won't let you drop it.
Oh shit.
You know? Pew, 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 pew.
That was a quick jury.
Deputy Slowinski, will you let the peanut
Zach,
gallery
appreciate
outside
the
now?
subscription, man. Subscribe for
resuming
3
Oh,
months.
dang,
Thank
that
you very much.
disrespectful.
With tier 1. Appreciate the support, man.
Ed,
That is
question.
No, I
legitimately
got
what
it. I
this
got
area
it.
is called.
I got it. Yeah, they don't like the green shirts. Hey, everybody, you can come.
Oh, God.
Sorry. Voice box. Your Honor, we have came to our.
Hang on. Okay, when I call the court back to order, I'll prompt you for your decision.
All right, thank you.
Oh shit, this ain't gonna go good.
Mr. Jones, if you're gonna stand on my table, I ask that you wipe
Shit,
your
we
feet
have an even
first.
bigger problem. I don't have enough cash on me.
Hey, Ed, can I get
Your
one of them
Honor,
hats?
may I make a suggestion that y'all
Yeah,
do
you
something
want one?
about these
I got it.
chairs?
Yeah, I'll send it to the governor.
Oh no.
Flimsy expletive chairs here.
These are laminate over here. It's not even real wood.
Oh, that's
Okay.
all laminate.
Order in the court. Order in the courtroom.
A Big Mac with cheese and.
The court will come to order.
Well, moment of truth. Shit.
Court is now in session. Mr. Foreperson, it is my understanding that you've reached a verdict.
Yes, sir. Upon anonymous decision.
Hang on. Hang on. I'm going to go ahead and have you write the verdict down on a piece of paper. Do not publicly announce what that verdict says. Hand it to my deputy, and they will bring it over to me, and then you will be free to read the verdict.
Oh shit.
Deputy Slowinski?
Yes, Judge.
Do not publicly display what the note says.
There you go, sir.
There we go, Judge.
Thank you.
Oh shit. This ain't gonna go good. Oh shit. This ain't gonna go good.
In the sole indictment of attempted felony murder, how do you, the jury, find?
Guilty.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Guilty.
Okay, you keep cutting off. Could we have perhaps someone else read the verdict?
I'll speak up. We do find Mr. Mudbone Jones guilty.
Oh man.
Oh shit.
Ahem. Very well. Please stop clapping. Please stop clapping and jumping. Or you'll
Your Honor,
find...
there's a man passed out back here.
Is it the one right in front? Oh my. Court is in recess for 5 minutes due to the medical emergency. Bailiffs, please temporarily take Mr. Jones into custody.
Ed. Ed.
Mr. Jones. hands behind your
Somebody call for a medic.
Casey, you got your radio on you?
Jury,
Yeah, so
go ahead
follow
and
me.
adjourn to my office. Mr. Actually, jury, stay out here. We'll put the suspect in, or the defendant in my office for now.
Casey.
One of the officers in the back, can you please call an ambulance?
If need be, I know CPR.
Court is in recess. All audience, please vacate the courtroom for now. Any of you other law enforcement officers, please aid in clearing the courtroom.
Man, this ain't right. I had to file an appeal.
What's that?
Mr. Jones,
I
grab a
had to
seat.
file an appeal,
Keep
man.
walking around.
Oh,
I'm gonna grab onto you and hold you in place. Your choice.
I'm going to the bar just for sure.
Thank you, Deputy.
Sir, can I help you with something?
I got the money. You want the plane ready?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna file an appeal to this shit. That or I'm gonna convince St. John to say something. Fuck.
Okay. Shit, here I almost went and bought a plane.
Okay, Deputy Lax, go ahead and call everyone back in. Have Deputy Slowinski bring in Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and jury of the gentlemen, thank you for your patience while we resolved this issue.
Are you Mr. Jones? Come with me.
Okay.
Judge, is this better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about
Mr. Jones, the people of the state of San Andreas have found you guilty. You have the opportunity to make a statement at this point before I pronounce sentencing.
Oh, good. Let me. I don't know exactly how y'all can take a convicted felon's word on this. I mean, I respect your decision, but I will be filing an appeal. I don't believe this is right. I mean, I've been accused and falsely convicted. I don't know how you can convict somebody else after somebody's already been convicted for the murder of attempted murder of Deacon St. John. This is double jeopardy here.
Very well. Prosecution, how are you on bail for the defendant while he intends to appeal?
I believe that he represents a significant flight risk, Your Honor.
So you're requesting remand?
Yes, I am.
Argue that
Defense?
shit somehow, man. Your Honor, if I may.
Very well.
I don't pose no flight risk. I've been in the state this whole time awaiting trial.
Prosecution, why do you believe Mr. Jones poses a flight risk?
Oh, I believe that the entire time he's been in this state, he was convinced he was going to win, and he's been doing everything in his power to obfuscate the charges. Now that he's been convicted, I fully expect that he will utilize his knowledge as a law enforcement officer and actually a bail bondsman to avoid detection and skip out on his sentence, Your Honor.
Very well. Defense, does Mr. Jones own any property in the state?
Yeah. down
Yes,
at
Your Honor.
Vespucci
He owns
Beach.
several properties around the state.
Does he own them solely, or does he own them in conjunction with his wife?
One of them's in conjunction. The other one I don't own. I don't own with her.
One of them is in conjunction with his wife.
Mr. Jones, do you have a passport?
No, I do not, Your Honor. I live in the ghetto. Therefore, I'm too damn broke to be traveling.
How would prosecution feel on ankle monitoring?
Yeah, we would settle for ankle monitoring, Your Honor.
Very well. The defendant is remanded into the custody of the Department of Corrections, pending an ankle monitor. Deputies, I believe we may have one somewhere here in the courtroom if you'd care to affix one to Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, as a condition of your ankle monitor, you're not to leave the state. Any attempts to do so will be met with immediate imprisonment. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
You're not to leave the city of Los Santos or the county of Blaine. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. Jones, I will allow your counsel to file an appeal immediately. You can either have myself hear the appeal, or you can have another judge hear the appeal.
Your Honor, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How am I being convicted when another guy has already been charged with the attempted murder of Deacon St. John?
Corrupt court.
Who said that?
I do believe that was a breeze.
Back here in the white shirt.
Okay, sir in the white shirt. With you to go ahead and approach. Sir, the fine for contempt in my courtroom is $100. I find you in contempt of court. Okay, let's make it $200.
Sounds like a damn option.
Sir, would you like to join him?
For him? Still corrupt. He's innocent.
$300. Would you like to try for jail time, sir? Let me return to your seat.
Hey, Solinsky, you might want to jump.
Very well. I'm sorry, as you were saying, Mr. Jones.
What's that?
Is he in cuffs?
Yes.
Can he post bail?
That's what they're discussing.
Because I got money.
He's on ankle monitoring.
Your Honor, you never did answer my question.
Yes, could you refresh me on your question? I'm sorry, I was dealing with a contempt issue.
How can I be convicted of a crime that another guy has already been convicted for?
The prosecution can try multiple people for the same crime, sir. They can convict multiple people of the same crime.
I don't understand this, Your Honor. I mean, I'm innocent.
Are you attempting to understand the concept of double jeopardy? Is that where the confusion is?
Exactly. When another guy, when they've already tried another guy, and like he's admitted that he was the only guy involved.
Okay, Mr. Jones. So double jeopardy is only that the one person cannot be held to account for the same crime twice. So,
I don't
for example,
understand how the
if you
fuck
win
I'm being charged with
for
this shit.
example, sir, your language. For
I
example,
give
sir,
up, Your Honor. I'll just
if you're-
file an appeal.
Very well, that's your right. Court is dismissed. Deputies, before Mr. Jones is released, make sure to fit him with an ankle monitor.
It has been done, Your Honor.
Okay, court is adjourned. Jury, you are dismissed.
fucking plane,
Thank you for your service.
No problem. Thank you, Your Honor.
This guy. Anybody else enjoy this circus?
I'm going to the bar.
Fucking retarded.
Hey, guy with the mohawk. You have a spider on your shoe.
I ain't worried about it.
Deputies, go ahead and uncuff Mr. Jones if you've already fit him with an ankle tracker.
Yep. Zelensky, you can handcuff Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
A
yeah, I'm
closely
coming.
fought case, Mr. Murphy.
Hey, you need
Oh,
to
well.
jump, Slowinski.
I appreciate you. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. You have a nice day.
Wait a minute, I'm lost. Wasn't I supposed to get a fine?
Oh yes, right here, Mr. Jones.
Okay.
Bless you. Sorry.
There you go, Mr. Jones.
Why did I just receive a payment of $500?
I just paid an invoice. I don't know where the fuck it comes
Oh.
from, but.
Well, deputies, if you don't mind performing a
one of
security
Gator's
sweep, clearing the
invoices.
court building, then locking her up for the night. That'll be all.
Will do.
There you go. There he is.
Well, gentlemen, it was a good,
like it, Mud.
good battle. We're going to file an appeal. We're going to get me
I think you're gonna
unconvicted
beat
of
this
this
stick.
heinous crime. And in the meantime, I've got
Excuse
some
me,
shit
officer?
I'm going to
I'm just
do.
gonna let the heat that
Well,
lay
sir,
low for a bit.
Sir, do you want me to get the corporate jet ready?
I have no idea what he.
What do you want, Mudbone?
County may have towed
Listen
it.
here, motherfucker. We need to talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, any police department that
Alright,
should be
I'll,
an
when I get to my house, and then I'll meet you
impound
wherever you
register,
went.
just go to that and
Yeah, you call
take
me
it from
when.
there.
Let me know when the
Or
fuck you're there, and I'll
if
tell you
it's
where
the
the fuck we're gonna
county,
meet.
Of course they are.
go to any
All
of
right.
the local garages.
I was all ready to buy you a plane, by the way.
What the fuck?
Yeah, some plane scheduled to fly to Tahiti.